there'll be a lot of conversation around Sonny Styles and Arvell Reese, the Ohio State teammates, arriving here at the Combine this morning. They worked out yesterday with the linebacker and DB group, and my goodness, it's always fun when, like, the best of the best actually delivers as the best, as Field Yates now joins us here. What a blast it was. I'm not sure, like, in all my memory of being a Combine nerd who loves to watch this stuff, that I can think of a performance more dominant than what we saw out of Sonny Styles. What stood out to you, Field?
Well, let's start with David Bailey from Texas Tech, a guy who probably, like Sonny Styles, could have said, I'm good, I'm not going to participate. His draft stock is solidified. I think David Bailey reinforced yesterday he's going somewhere between pick 2 and pick 4. 4.50 40-yard dash, second fastest amongst all of the edge rushers. The production last year was more consistent than any edge in the class. The on-field workout was definitely good enough, and with teams from 2 to 4 in the Jets, Cardinals, and Titans that definitely need pass rush help, wouldn't surprise me if that is his range. 3 picks, no more than that.
Yeah, one of the best things about a guy like Sonny Styles is this. You knew he was going to rip up the Combine. It was just going to be, what level was he going to actually go to? Well, obviously, he burst through a whole bunch of levels at 6'5 plus and 240 plus, and jumping 43.5 inches. That's just alien-like. It's Avatar-like, and it's something that you expect out of a young man like this. But here's the thing that I'm hearing about this guy. Okay, it's his skills on the football field. We can all see that. It's what he brings to the table from a football and personal character standpoint. This guy is as clean as it comes. He is a force multiplier in every sense of the word, and that's exactly what you want out of the green dot guy, the guy that the coaches talk to, the guy who's at the command and control center of the defense. Everyone puts eyes on him, and he is a leader. He's the tip of the spear at Ohio State, and you can't find any flaws with him. So when you have a guy like this who also plays like he does, who's an absolute hammer at 6'5", you sit there and you go, how high could this guy go? And as a general manager, you're just sitting there thinking, how can I get in a position to get some of that? Just to get him on my football team. Because there are no chinks in the armor. There's none.
It was so interesting, too. He was interviewing with Stacey Dales after this incredible performance, and it was just like he expected that all this was going to happen. He was almost just very average talking about it, even though he was busting through all these records. By the way, that vertical, the highest by a linebacker in 20 years at the Combine. Fernando Mendoza making his entrance here at the Combine today, the expected #1 overall pick. Indiana quarterback, of course. He's not going to throw tomorrow with the quarterback group. I asked him about that decision earlier today, and here's how he explained it.
I had 16 times to compete this season. I believe I made the most of all 16 opportunities. And the national championship happened January 19th, so it's basically less than a month ago, or about a month ago. And at that point, I wanted a week to relax and then to start preparing. And I have 8 guys at my pro day, whether it's receivers, tight ends, and running backs. I'm going to save my throws for them and help my teammates the best I can.
That's great. What have your conversations been like with the Raiders?
I had a formal interview with the Raiders. It was great. The coaching staff was in there. They were grilling me with some questions about my film, about their installs, and it was a great meeting. It was a great meeting, and I can't thank them enough for requesting a formal interview, and looking forward to interviewing more.
Have you talked to Tom Brady?
When I first went into the formal interview, Tom Brady was on the phone, so I was able to tell him, hey, on the phone for a couple seconds, and it was great. It was a fantastic opportunity. Look forward to meeting him in person one day, hopefully.
You've always proven so much throughout your career. Your journey's been so remarkable. What is left to prove for you as you embark on this next chapter?
Oh, there's so much. The college chapter was fantastic. It was fantastic. I'm really happy how it ended. Winning a national championship, that was great. However, that chapter's behind. And now I got to try to start climbing the ranks with my new team and start trying to climb the ranks as a player and try to prove myself in the league and have some equity in the league as far as being a good teammate, being a good player, and all other things that comes with the opportunity to play in the NFL.
Just such a fun... We got Eric back here, by the way. I had an audio issue. No worries. He's the GOAT. Okay, anyway.
On the fly.
Fernando Mendoza, what a joy to be around. That was so much fun. Mina, when you think about Mendoza, though, in this Raiders offense, Clint Kubiak coming in there as the head coach, how does he fit as it stands right now?
I just can't help smiling when I watch him. He just never stops smiling himself, and what a nice young man is all you think when you watch him talk. He's a nice young man who's very freaking accurate, and that is the first thing that comes to mind when I think about his fit in a Clint Kubiak offense. when he throws outs, back shoulders, he might as well be handing it off. And so that's something obviously that's very prized for that particular scheme. He has the athleticism and arm talent to throw on the move. I think he's a smart quarterback. The only question for me is just whether or not, and I think he can, but the play under center, that offense, and we saw this, of course, in Seattle with Sam Darnold, the boot game is so fundamental to what they do. And I would say the ability to boot, by the way, in both directions and make throws on the move. And so that's something you're going to want to see from Mendoza. It's not that he can't do it. It's just he wasn't asked to do it like many college quarterbacks in Indiana. So there might be a little bit of an adjustment period, but I do think he's completely capable of it.
I think we saw, just this past year in particular, we saw how Mac Jones can really operate this style of offense. Fernando's a better athlete than Mac, and just in terms of the way that they move. I'm not saying either one of them is going to remind you of Bo Jackson or Deion Sanders as far as athletic ability. But look, Fernando, you're right. Look, I agree. The guy is a technician back there as far as what they asked him to do. His ball handling in the RPO game, I thought, was pristine. He rarely made bad decisions. He can get the ball out fast. He can throw the football accurately at all three levels. I have no issues with how much he pushed the ball to the outside, whether it be on the slot fades, on the speed outs, on the 7 routes. Because you know what? That's a lot of times, that's what we criticize quarterbacks for not being able to do in the pros.
Yeah, right.
He can't throw it outside the numbers. He has to always stay inside the numbers. He can throw the football inside the numbers. You've seen him hit the seam shots repeatedly. I have no questions about this dude. And I don't think the Raiders, quite honestly, when this is all over, I don't think they're going to have many either.
I'm just trying to think of this kid's 12 months, and I say kid almost flippantly, but like 12 months ago, I don't know if we would have even thought that Fernando Mendoza would be at the Combine, let alone being the #1 pick in the draft. Last night, I wasn't there, but people were. St. Elmo's Steakhouse, the big spot in town.
I was there.
You were there?
I saw this.
Mendoza walked in, and Laura, you could tell the story. Apparently, everyone who works on the staff put down their plates and put down their jobs and their server trays, and everyone gave him a standing ovation as he walked in as the Indiana legend. Now, of course, the football media, us slobs, everyone just kept on eating the steaks and the shrimp. But no, the staff, they were appreciative for what he did. I just think to have the humility he has, to be as grounded as he is, considering the 12 months that he just endured, where he took Indiana football, a 105-year program, to their best season they've ever had, from the ashes, putting them on his back, and then still having a smile and being humble enough and being just grateful enough to be in this opportunity. I think he's got the world ahead of him. Personality is there. The football, that'll come. But as a first overall pick, you can't go wrong taking Fernando Mendoza.
By the way, I was eating shrimp cocktail. You have to do that at St. Elmo's. But when he came through, you're right, the staff started cheering, and then he got into the second room of St. Elmo's. If you've ever been there, you know about it. And the entire place erupted. And he loved it. He wasn't just trying to walk right through. He's waving at everybody. I asked him about it today, and he was like, this place, this state means so much to me. Just a really special young man that we're all going to get to watch at the next level. Also, shout out to our crew here at the Combine. We got technical issues. It's like a little pit stop around here. Nothing gets by these amazing people. So we appreciate everybody here helping us out, especially Eric Lunston, who was behind my chair. All right. The DBs working out today. One of the top DBs in the class is LSU's Mansoor Delane. I talked to him about his fearless play and where it comes from.
Sure, I just think, I played so many positions. Growing up, I played quarterback, middle linebacker, I played safety, I played nickel. So, really just not being afraid of anything. So when I just played corner this year, that was an easy job for me because, I'm used to doing so many different things at once. But, this allowed me to focus on one part of my game, and I think it paid off.
All right, so Mansoor Delane not working out today, decided not to do that. But, Mina, when you watch the tape, what impresses you most?
Well, he's a shutdown corner. Let's start there. Targeted 34 times, allowed 9 catches. That's a 27% catch rate. No touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 12 PBUs. The thing that impresses me the most, I would say, are his press man reps, the way he jams receivers, stays in their hip pockets, fights through traffic, picks and rubs. I think at the next level, he absolutely has to be utilized that way. I do have questions a little bit about the speed, both the recovery speed and then just in long speed. I would have liked to see how he ran. I imagine at some point we will find out. But to me, he brings a high floor as a corner. He's very polished and could be a day 1 starter in the NFL.
Unfortunately, we're not going to see Jermod McCoy take part in drills this week as the Tennessee cornerback is still, and I think he told you this, Laura, he's still getting back from that ACL tear that was suffered back in January of 2025 when he was training after Tennessee's season. It's a player who obviously has incredible ability. We're talking about him still potentially a top 10 pick in this class. 2 seasons ago at Tennessee, I thought he was clearly the best man coverage corner that I evaluated in this year's crop of potential quarterbacks. Has excellent size as well, good length, very confident as well, does a good job of playing through the football at the catch point. Just easy for me to talk about him and say, yeah, top 5 player in the class. I'm not the one actually turning in the card, and teams are going to need to get some level of confidence between now and April 23rd on Jermod McCoy. Perhaps that takes place at his pro day, but despite all the skill he brings to the table, not having a player play football for 16 months and then making him a top 10 pick, a little bit of a daunting task.
He does plan to go through a full workout at his pro day, but again, something to keep an eye on. And as for Caleb Downs, top safety in this class, we expect him, we'll see what happens. He's a maybe for some of the workouts down here, not going to run the 40, but he is the number 2 prospect, or at least going number 2 to the Jets, in Mel Kiper Jr.'s latest mock. What do you see from him, Lewis?
Look, he's a solid player, Laura. I mean, no question about it. He's a multi-tool player, meaning you could line him up at strong or free. You could put him in single high coverages. He can play down in the box, real good zone awareness, real good route recognition. You can put him in the middle of the field. He's got good range, good anticipation, good footwork. Super solid as far as a tackler is concerned. He has got real good fundamentals, always under control, comes to balance, wraps up, sees what he's hitting. The thing about him, like, from a physical perspective, from a, just from a physical range perspective, I'm used to, like, if you're going to take a guy that high at safety, he has got to be a dude who has got to be a ball disruptor, like, on a consistent basis, whether it be as a blitzer, as an interceptor, as a guy who's knocking the ball out. See, for me, the standard is Sean Taylor. That's what we're talking about when you're talking about guys you're going to draft in the top 5 at safety. Eric Berry, Eric Turner from way back in the 90s. Those are the kind of guys who have, like, height, weight, and speed, 4.4, 4.3 speed. We'll see what he does. I like him. I would take him in the first round. He's going to play a long time. I just don't know if I'm as high as many people are.
He's not built like a Kyle Hamilton who flies around the field making plays. How would you say he compares, though, to like a Brian Branch?
Similar. I don't know, of like what his skills are from a man coverage perspective as far as Branch is concerned. Like, Branch is used to playing the star.
Right.
Branch is used to going down there and having real good route recognition skills and then the feet to be able to match patterns on the first and second level. And then he's a heck of a blitzer, heck of a tackler. Brian Branch is like the prototype star. I just don't know if that's Caleb's ideal position. He can just do so many different things, is what makes him so good.
Let's show you some of the numbers of what's going on behind us on this field. DB workouts well underway. A few notable performances here. Toriano Pride Jr. of Missouri, a 4.32 40-yard dash. Fastest at the combine so far, the fastest by a Mizzou player since 2003. Indiana's D'Angelo Pons also recorded the second highest vertical jump by a player under 5'10" at the combine over the last 20 years. The highest drafted wideout in Mel Kiper Jr.'s mock draft, going 6 to the Browns. He's one of 4 wide receivers going in the first round of Mel's draft, with USC's Mekhi Lemon also in the top 10 to the Saints, followed by Jordan Tyson to the Ravens, Denzel Boston to the Bills. There's so much depth in this receiver class. Peter, what are you hearing about this receiver class just as a whole?
Deep. Like, there might not be your Julio Jones or A.J. Green, but deep. And so much so that I asked the GM, I said, lay it out for me. What's the wide receiver class? He said, there were 17 in 2022, and there were 17. There might be 20 this year in the first 3 rounds, meaning you might not get one of the top 3, might not get one of the top 4, but we're talking rounds 2 and 3, that entire Friday evening at the draft. We might see wide receiver, wide receiver, wide receiver. One name to watch on Saturday for the workouts is Brennan Thompson. He's out of Mississippi State, where he's number 0. He might have the fastest 40 time here and will challenge our guy, Xavier Worthy, for the fastest of all time. That is what I'm told by the Exos guys who trained him and said his 10-yard splits were up there with Worthy's. Now, can he put it together for a full 40? We'll see. But we're talking 4.2 speed, Brennan Thompson, and he's not even being discussed as a first-round pick.
Yeah, you ask any SEC DBs trying to deal with him all year, it was not fun for them for sure. Field, how much does Carnell Tate stand out when you watch the film?
A lot, in a very, as Peter noted, a very stacked draft class for wide receivers. I got 42 wide receivers with a draftable grade this year, but Carnell Tate does stand at the very top because I believe he has a candidacy as being the most pro-ready prospect, regardless of position in the class. He's got such detail and discipline with his route running, and we don't scout the helmet in the world of football evaluation, but an Ohio State wide receiver gives you more confidence because of the legacy of players that have gone in recent first rounds because they were coached by Brian Hartline. They obviously played in a particular system that required them to be as detail-oriented as Carnell Tate was. He had just one drop this past season as well. He has this unique unique ability to not strain at all. He just seems very much under control with everything that he does. Averaged over 17 yards per catch last season as well. And I do admire the humility of the player. He was never the guy at Ohio State, and it never really seemed to be an issue for Carnell Tate, who, like the rest of these Ohio State wide receivers, arrived to campus as this major splash recruit to land.
Yeah, Carnell Tate is my #1 receiver in the draft. He has that skill set that every NFL team wants, which is big playability at his size, too. And the thing that strikes me watching him on tape, on TV, you see some of those big plays and you wonder why he's so open. Then on tape, you see the way he sets up defensive backs with his head fakes, his footwork. He is a very polished route runner, particularly on those downfield routes that I found really impressive. Some of those throws, too, were underthrown, thrown behind him. I thought he did a phenomenal job tracking the ball deep. Great contested catch ability. You talked about the lack of drops, no drops at all on throws over 20 yards. So if I'm a team that really needs a true #1, he to me is the guy who can come in and make an impact immediately.
Field, what about Jordan Tyson? There's some questions about him, but the talent is there with what we've seen on the field.
If this draft were taking place a year ago, Jordan Tyson's going in the first 5 or 8 picks. The most explosive wide receiver in this year's draft class. Excellent size at 6'2". He goes up and gets the football. He's electric with the ball in his hands after the catch. A lot of things happened this past year. Sam Leavitt not with the Arizona State program anymore. There's a quarterback change, and Tyson dealt with a hamstring injury throughout this past season. This is a unique way of talking about a player, but I think it's notable for Jordan Tyson. There were actually plays last year where the ball was not thrown to Jordan Tyson, a wide receiver. His job's to catch it, where I was most impressed by him. Yeah. He's got this incredible ability to separate both in the intermediate and downfield portion of the passing game. Yeah. The help is going to be something that every team evaluates a little bit differently. That being said, I have a hard time imagining that he's not a top 15 pick based off of the talent and the character as well. This is a good young man who has explosive
Last year,
skills.
McMillan went first from all the wide receivers. Would he have gone before McMillan?
Oh, I think so. Yeah, and I love Tedero McMillan, but we're talking about a different level of athletes. So assuming you're comfortable with the health profile for Jordan Tyson, then I feel like this would be a player that would have been wide receiver 1 in last year's class. And by the way, McMillan, offensive rookie of the year.
Right. I mean, that's a great benchmark to think about. We're talking about one of the most talented, explosive receivers that we saw in this rookie class, and you would see Jordan Tyson ahead of him. I love it.